What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and before we get into this video, I do want to remind you to go and watch yesterday's video, my weekly review, just so you have an idea of what all the markings outs are, because I'm not going to be going over them all in this one video. So yeah, let's get straight into things. We're going to start on the dollar. We'll start on the daily on dollar, and you'll see how we had quite a consolidated day in general. Very just created two wicks. Obviously you can see we traded above Friday's high and then down to the midpoint of Friday's low wick right here. I'll just expand this real quick. You can see how we respected that 50% level and came off it. So really nothing too exciting. Moving into the rest of the week though, we do have high impact news for the rest of the week. So that means that we're likely going to see a lot of volatility. Now, as you can see, we're in a position where we have liquidity both above the market, above this swing high, and below the market. Now, one thing to remember is this is a daily volume imbalance, as you can see, and I do believe that price is still seeking to try and fill that before we see any kind of significant turn in the market. So although we do have this low down here, and I would like to think that price can come down, I do think it's more likely that price is just going to continue higher and try and trade and fill this volume imbalance first. So let's drop down to the 4 hour just to see what price did, and you can see how we traded higher, took out this high, and then now you can see we're just kind of consolidating at this previous high right here. This is obviously an order block, these down close candles. So right now I am really just watching these to see if it can hold price, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's just drag this out and we'll make this black. And moving into tomorrow, if price continues to respect the 50% level of this, so this red line, if price continues to stay above that, then I'm happy to be bullish on dollar with the expectation for it to expand to the upside and run towards these highs. If this gives way, however, then it's likely going to go for these lows and start trading towards this order block I was talking about. But generally speaking, I think that it's likely going to trade higher. One, we are above the 50% level right now of the trading range we're in. And again, this is a bullish order block, like a significant one. And we've already grabbed stops here. And since then, you can see our price is respecting this level. So moving into the new day, I'd like to think that price can continue to do this so that it has the opportunity and it is then permitted to run for these buy stops. And again, this is a daily volume imbalance, so price should be trying to get up there and not worrying about any kind of sell stops as of now. So yeah, I'm going to be paying close attention to these levels right here. Definitely have that marked out, and I'd like to think that we could maybe create a low in London on dollar and then start seeing higher prices for the rest of the day. Now remember, we do have high impact news on Tuesday. I think it's later on in the day though. I'll have to double check what times, but it should be quite interesting to say the least. Let's drop down to the 1 hour and you'll see our price traded. Not the best of days, but we simply traded higher, ran out those stops, and now we're pulling back into that range. And again, I'm going to be watching this range right here to see, okay, does price want to respect the 50% level? So yeah, that's pretty much everything on dollar. But you can clearly see that we're still in quite a strong consolidation. So don't be too stressed. Don't let it stress you out too much. We will eventually leave it, but I'd like to think that price will whip up first, and then we'll probably see some kind of pullback towards the middle of the week. So that's my expectations on dollar. Hope that all makes sense. Let's now head over. Actually, let's drop to the 15 minute, just see what we can find, if anything. Yeah, we do have a breaker here as well. Oh, excuse me. A low, a high, a low, and then price is broken to the upside. So we can look at this breaker, which just happens to line up with the 50% of this range, and you'll see we haven't actually traded into it yet. So that might be a draw for price in the new day, something to consider. We'll make that yellow. So let's say price comes down here around 8:30 or at a significant time of the day when we're expecting a reversal, then I'd obviously want to start looking for longs on dollar with the expectation for shorts on the pairs. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to say the least, but overall I'm definitely watching this level to start getting traded to, and you can see how we have this breaker level to pay close attention to. So yeah, let's just keep that marked out. Let's say this gives way though. If price does trade through this and disrespects it completely, then obviously we'd be running for these lows and probably start running towards this 4 hour bullish order block. But it is just a matter of waiting and seeing. Preferably price will hold its strength and, you know, push higher in towards that buy side liquidity. Let's now go on to GBP USD. We'll start here on the daily as well. And you'll see how we had a very big down day. We saw a lot of weakness on pound today. Very typical price action. I say very typical. You can see how weak pound has been. We traded up to the midpoint of that range, that one day bearish inversion fair value gap I was talking about in yesterday's video. 50% off that, and then rejected and traded lower. So if we're expecting higher prices on dollar tomorrow, we should obviously expect lower prices on pound again. So what I am watching is this range from this low to this high specifically now. So we're gonna draw that out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring our attention to the midpoint of that, and this is going to be the highest I expect price to trade before moving lower. Now this doesn't mean that price has to get up there, but I'm saying that if we do come into this range, I'd expect this to be a premium for price to start looking for shorts to then run for Monday's low and into this daily fair value gap that I also brought our attention to in yesterday's video. So let's just get this marked out as a sell side liquidity. I hope this all makes sense, guys. And then we'll drop down to the 4 hour, and you'll see how price traded low today very aggressively, and voila, we have a beautiful bearish order block right here that I'd like to think price will find resistance at. So let's just draw this fair value gap out right here, and that should form a nice setup for potential shorting opportunities on pound, with the expectation for us to target this south side liquidity below today's low and into that daily fair value gap down here. We will now go down to the 1 hour. You'll see our price came down and then back up. And again, we can see a nice break level here. We've got high, low, higher high. Now, there isn't a clear down close candle. There's this down close candle and this down close candle. So this range here, which is pretty much lined up with the fair value gap anyway, is where I'm going to be looking as a sensitive spot to be shorting on pound. Preferably price doesn't come above these highs. So long as these highs continue, so long as this range from this low to this high stays intact, I'm happy to be short on pound. So again, watching that midpoint, seeing how price treats that with the expectation for it to send price lower and into our south side targets. So to be honest, it's looking like quite a nice setup. We may very well just dip above this high first and then trade into these lows. We have a not a breaker, what's it called, mitigation block right here at the 50% level. So again, that might be the perfect opportunity for price to turn around at. So we're going to be paying close attention to these at around the 8:30 time, at 3 a.m, 4 a.m. It really depends on how Asia trades, but overall, once it gets to this premium, I'm looking for shorting opportunities with the expectation to aim for this south side liquidity. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on pound. I'm pretty simple going, and obviously with how weak we were today, you can see this is clear displacement to the downside, right? So price obviously wants to be sent lower, and based off that, we know that once price retraces back into the range, we should be comfortable shorting from that. So I will be looking into that obviously tomorrow with the expectation to run lower. I don't see this as a reversal, and the reason for that is because it's not really reversing at anything, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Goes to the 4 hour. So you'll see we've just traded, yes, we filled a fair value gap, but this is a daily fair value gap. So price, if anything, should be seeking to fill that the same way that we know that dollar is seeking to try and fill this massive volume imbalance right here. So that's how I'm looking at pound right now. Now let's finish up on euro USD. So you'll see that euro has been showing its strength. It's been we're seeing higher lows being made. What this might actually do is cause like a six sister approach, where we see that euro has to do a lot of catching up. So we might see a big down move on euro. But overall, if we're expecting a high price on dollar, we want to start seeing, can these relative equal lows down here get targeted on euro? So what's interesting about euro is how euro continued pressing higher, even though pound was very weak and clearly traded lower. Let's quickly go on the daily, and you'll see quite an ugly day. You'll see how we're finding resistance. Look at how volume's closing at the weekly inversion fair value gap I brought our attention to. That's nice to see. The very highest I want to see price trade on euro tomorrow is going to be the midpoint of yesterday's high wick. So let's get that marked out in red, and we'll make that dashed. Actually, we don't even need to make it dashed. Now let's go to the 4 hour. And you'll see it's very consolidated. Like, this is absolutely disgusting price action. But generally speaking, we do have a break right here, the last down close candle before the up move that caused this down move. Then again, we haven't actually taken out that low, so I guess it doesn't really count. But I am watching this down close candle. I want to see this provide resistance for price. So let's make that black for now. Take off that midpoint. And so long as price respects this, I'm happy to be short on euro with the expectation to take out all these lows here, here, and here, grabbing all these sell stops and starting to fill in this range, which again, I explained in yesterday's video. Let's go to the 1 hour. You'll see not much happened on euro, sorry. We We came down, traded into this fair value gap, now we're trading higher and finding resistance. Now, again, I'm just looking to see, can we continue to see resistance? And when we do trade lower, I do believe it's going to be a very aggressive expansion lower. And remember, with high impact news, that is expected, so it won't be surprising. And then we have clear relative equal lows down here, sorry. Relative equal holes. We have clear relative equal lows down here that price should be trying to target. So that's pretty much everything. Now, don't get me wrong. If price does expand through these levels and we trade above, then we can start hunting for higher prices, such as the weekly fair value gap, and trading higher up to these relative equal highs. However, I'm not convinced that price is ready to do that yet. I do believe we're still going to see lower prices, which is why I do want to see this continue to act as resistance, and this consolidation. I'm seeing this area, I hope this is making sense, like as a premium. So if you look at our range from this high to this low, you'll see that we're just above the 50% level. So we are in a premium off the range right now, assuming we're bearish. So we should be looking at these lows to then get targeted, and then these lows as well. So that's how I'm looking at price right now. We're in a premium, and if price continues pushing higher, it'll only get us more into a premium or a higher premium for us to be selling. But we'll have to wait and see. We're just speculators, and again, if it trades higher, so be it, and we'll simply adjust and approach accordingly. So that's going to be everything, guys. Hope you found this insightful. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, join the Discord. I am in there. I'm going to be active in there tomorrow especially. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.